My experience has been that people will invest in telling you what they think because you've asked them, because you've made their opinion valuable, which is all they want. And you can either take their advice or not. But some of the people who are, let us just say, difficult to deal with, have some of the best insight and input for us that we don't see, because as business owners and as product suppliers and designers and definers of our niche, we don't necessarily see how it's seen by our end users. And it takes so much time to find that information out. And you can only do that by being a communication facilitator. And if that means that if you want to have a conversation with someone who's really angry with you, you might want to offer to do it in mediation because it's confidential. If you have the conversation in mediation and then they want to go off and sue you, they can't use that information because it's confidential. If you sign a mediation agreement, I'll give you an example. So a colleague of mine who's a defense attorney for an insurance company said, I'd rather have a conversation with the pet owner and the veterinarian than go into mediation. And I said, aha, no you wouldn't. And do you want to know why? Because if you sit down and have a conversation in mediation with a mediator and sign a mediation agreement, the information that is uncovered in that discussion is confidential. It can't be used. So it is information that will remain in that room.
Well, what about if you go to trial or something like that, then it can be re-brought up again?
It can be re-brought up again if they can prove it outside the mediation, yes. But they can't say, well, you know, they said in mediation X, Y, and Z. They can say it, but if they can't prove it anywhere else. Because my attorney friends say, you know, the genie's out of the bottle. There is no way to put it back in the bottle. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. If it's the truth, don't you want to live in integrity anyway? Don't you want to take responsibility? And then in mediation, you can take responsibility and it won't be published in the court records, and it won't be precedent, and it won't be something that will come back and bite you. So you can do it in mediation, settle it, and go, oh my God, I did make a huge mistake. I really shouldn't be doing this, and I'm going to make good here. I'm going to create the solution that we all can live with, and it's going to be confidential. It's the most empowering way to have a resolution between people who are at odds and in conflict, because they know that the resolution that's coming down the pike is going to meet my needs because we're going to craft it ourselves, and it's going to stay between us. Because some people don't want others to know that they've sued someone or complained about someone and then gone to mediation and resolved it. And some people don't want people to know that they've even been sued or they made a mistake. But what a good mediator will do is they will sit down and say, what happens when any of the terms of this mediation are violated? And what happens when confidentiality is broken? And then while you're sitting there at the table, you say, well, if that happens, then I will either go to court or I will pay $10,000 or whatever the resolution you want is. You will make that resolution before you sign the agreement, because it's incredibly important in mediation that you not only come to the solution you want, but find out how to enforce the solution you want. In divorce, especially in mediation, when you do the animal, you should do it outside the divorce settlement. You shouldn't do it in the divorce settlement because the courts don't really want to enforce it or supervise it. So you make the agreement about the custody of the pet outside the divorce settlement, and you make how that agreement, that contract, is enforced within the mediation agreement, so that if someone doesn't return the dog, you already have it in your contract on custody. What will happen if someone doesn't do what they have said they do in the agreement? So it's a complete document. It's wonderful.